It's time for the first true smoke battle between the Weber Searwood and the Weber Smoque. Last week we focused on the Weber Smoque and its new features, and we did party ribs, and we put just a few control party ribs in the Weber Searwood to see if there was a smoke difference. They tasted exactly the same. This week we're gonna do something that's a little bit lower and slower. Smoked chuck roast, sometimes referred to as poor man's brisket. This should give us a better indication on whether or not there's any more smoke flavor from the Weber Smoque versus the Weber Searwood. Should be awesome. Let's go get it.
Basement.
All right, we got 2 chuck roasts here. I got them at my local Harris Teeter. I do like the way they do this because they're nice and cut square already. I don't have to do any trimming or anything. I just have to open up the packages. I'm not gonna use a binder because we wanna maximize smoke absorption. I don't want anything blocking it, and we want a really nice crust. We'll decide later if we're gonna wrap. Today I'm using one of my favorite brands of rubs, which is Cosmos, and this is simply their SPG beef rub. I got this at my local Ace hardware store just down the road, but I think it's available on Amazon as well. If so, I'll link to it down below. And we're just gonna do a nice helping all over this because we wanna make sure we get a nice crust. And because these are pretty thick pieces of meat, we're not really too concerned with over seasoning. And if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. I prefer my meat to be well seasoned than under seasoned and tasteless. Of course, we're gonna get all 4 sides. By the way, SPG is salt, pepper, garlic, for those of you who don't know, although most of you probably do. That's all there is to it. I'm gonna stick these back in the fridge. I'm gonna get the deck set up and we'll see you out there. All right, here we are, my favorite time of the week. I'm in front of 2 grills. We're doing a head-to-head smoke battle, as I said, between the Smoque on my left, Searwood on my right. As I mentioned last week, I have the XL version of the Searwood and the baby version of the Smoque. So we don't know, the cooking times may be a little bit different, but we'll account for that. For an added bonus today, to get as much smoke flavor as we can, we're going with my favorite pellets of all time, Smokin Pecan. They produce the best smoke I've ever seen in my experience so far, and we're gonna put that in both of these guys. As I mentioned last week, they both have pellet dumps, so I was able to remove the old pellets. All right, we got them filled up. Let's go ahead and start the smokers. Put it down to 180, which is smoke boost, which is how we're gonna start. Same thing on the Searwood. It's a super hot day today out here in Virginia. The feels like is 110, and sure enough, 110. Already on the dial. And they probably aren't gonna have to work extra hard to keep it hot in that chamber, but I'm looking forward to this. See you in a bit. All right, we're good to go. They both got to 180 in no time flat, and I mean almost no time at all. So we're gonna run at smoke boost for the first hour like I always do on the Searwood or even the Rectech that has extreme smoke. After an hour, we're gonna boost to about 225 to 250. So let's go ahead and get these things on. By the way, these 2 pieces of meat are exactly 2.12 pounds each. So this is going to be a true test of the same size, grade, and type of meat. We're gonna put them both right smack in the middle. I'm not gonna use a water pan or anything. While the Searwood has the capability to put a water pan right over the flavor bar, which I recently purchased, the Smoque does not. It has that more traditional pan underneath. So we're gonna just leave them both the way they are with no added accessories and see what happens. I'm gonna spike them with the Temp Spike Pro. This is the ThermoPro Temp Spike Pro. So we're gonna go white probe right in the middle here on the Smoque. That's gonna give us ambient temperature as well as the temperature of the meat. And same thing over here. We'll monitor the temps from afar. We'll check back after about an hour when we're ready to boost up from Smoke Boost and see what's going on. See you in a bit. All right, we're an hour in. You can see that these guys are putting out tons of smoke. I'm telling you, part of that is the Smokin Pecan pellets. I haven't tried Lumberjack yet, but I'm hoping to soon. There's a place about 2 hours from here that sells it, so I'm gonna make a trip out there one day, but these Smokin Pecan pellets are insane. Temp Spike probes are measuring 115 degrees on the Searwood and 110, interestingly, on the Weber Smoque chuck roast. Whew. Looks nice. Man, we gotta brush some of that smoke away. This is crazy. Looks good. Obviously not a whole lot of cooking going on yet, but that's to be expected. And on the smoke, also looks good. All right, crank these up to 250. We're off and running. All right, we're 3 hours in. I've been watching the ThermoPro consistently, and we are now in the stall big time. Interestingly, the Searwood's in the stall at around 173 degrees, and the smoke is in the stall at around 164 degrees. I don't know why one stalls earlier than the other, because it's the same cut of meat, it's even the same weight, but it must have something to do with the dynamics of these two grills. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap in tin foil to get things kick-started, and then I'll finish it off in the last 20 or 30 minutes, unwrapped again to make sure we hold on to the bark. And one thing is, we don't really need to add any juice or anything in there because they are already so juicy. I mean, look at how juicy that is. I'm just gonna let this thing cook in its own juices. All right, we're off and running. All right, I'll tell you what, doing the wrap on this chuck roast works extremely fast, only 30 minutes in, and they're both at temp. I will say that the Searwood just burns hotter. I had to adjust the temperatures a little bit to try to get them more equal. What we ended up with is the Searwood chuck roast is at right around 200 degrees. The smoke chuck roast is at 195. So we're gonna go ahead and unwrap and stick them back on. I've changed these back to their smoke boost settings so that we're not burning too hot anymore. All right, let's unwrap the Searwood one. See how we're looking. Oh yeah, very, very juicy. All right, am I gonna pick this up with my hot hands? Whew. We're gonna let that go a little bit longer on the Searwood to develop the crust, and we'll go back up to about 250. Let's grab the one off the smoke. Very, very juicy. Crank this guy back up to 250 as well. Honestly, we're probably only gonna let this go another 15 or 20 minutes, then we're gonna pull them off, let them rest for about 45 minutes, and then we're gonna slice in and see what's up. Which one has smokier flavor, or are they the same, again, like they were on those party ribs? See in a bit. All right, here we are, poor man's brisket. They look absolutely amazing, as you can see. Great crust going on. On the left is the Weber Searwood version. On the right is the Weber Smoque version. I will say that the Searwood one shrunk a little bit more. Looks like maybe the crust on the top is a little bit better formed. The one on the right, the Smoke version, might be a little bit juicier. They did come to the same temperature at the end, which is right around 202 degrees, and they were both probing very tender. So I'm not too concerned with it, but let's give it a shot and see what's what. I'm gonna start with the smoke. I mean, look how easy that slide. I didn't even have to push. Look at all that nice fat there. I'm gonna take this end right here. I'm gonna pop that in and see how it is. Very barky, very beautiful. All right, let's see what's up. I'll tell you what, that SPG seasoning from Cosmos is really, really good. I know it's just salt, pepper, garlic, but I've had others that were not quite as flavorful for some reason. Delicious, smoky, tender, beefy and juicy, really good. Definitely a good eat right there. All right, let's try a corner off of the Searwood version. Actually, I'm gonna go on this side. A little bit of more fat there. Oh my God, it slices so easy. Whew. Barely have to push. Man, is that a thing of beauty or what? Oh man, the Weber Searwood is smokier. I'm very shocked by this result. I was not expecting this. I gotta give it one more shot just to make sure. You know what, let's do a different side. In fact, we'll go right down the middle. Oh, look at that. That is gorgeous. You can see why it's called poor man's brisket, because it really does look like brisket. Oh my God, I'm in heaven right now. Let's do the same thing over here. Weber Smoque. Also delicious, but I gotta tell you, the Weber Searwood wins, hands down. Even from the middle section, it's smokier, it's more tender. The thing is, they both probed the same exact recipe and cook, but the Weber Searwood is a 10 out of 10, and the Weber Smoque is an 8.5 out of 10. I don't know what to say. The Weber Searwood, once again, is shining. What else can I say? If you have a smoke or you want to get a smoke because you want to save the money and you want to deal with less stuff like the accessories and stuff, I still think the smoke is legit, but the Weber Searwood just seems to be on a different level. I don't really understand the physics of it, but it is what it is. So thanks for hanging out. See you next time.